So far, all of what we have done on our websites has been given information to our users. But if we want to get information from our users, we need to use forms. You will need form tags around your form. The most important element you will have in your form is the input element. Inside that tag, you need to specify a type. The type attribute can have many values. We will start with the most common ones. The value text will give your users a text box in which to type. If you want a label for your users to identify the text box, you can type that directly inside your form tags. A name attribute is required on all form inputs. Without it, the data will not be sent. The default width of a text box is 20 characters. You can add more with the size attribute. You can also use CSS to set a width for the text box. If you want to limit the number of characters a user can input, then use max length. If your users need to type more than one line, then you need a text area box. Text area will give you a box of about 20 characters wide and 3 lines high, but that varies by browser. You can specify an exact size by designating rows and columns. You can also use CSS to assign height and width. There are other types of boxes that appear the same as text boxes. The difference is in which keyboard mobile devices display. If you specify a tel type, the user gets the numerical keyboard so they can easily give you a phone number. The email type shows user letters and the @ symbol on the same keyboard, and some may also include a .com button. URL will include /, dot, and .com buttons as available keys. Some browsers will automatically validate to make sure the user input an email or web address in the correct format. A password field will show asterisks or circles as user types in the box to mask the confidential information. Radio will give your users a radio button to select. Unlike in the previous examples, here I have the text the user sees placed after the input. You can put it wherever you like. All of the options have the same name but unique values. Checkbox looks nearly the same. The difference is that users can only select one option with radio buttons, but can select multiple checkboxes. One thing you can add to make your form more user-friendly are labels. With items like radio buttons and checkboxes, users can have a hard time clicking or tapping on those tiny options. Adding a label allows your users to click on the text as well as the button or box to get the same result. In your input control, you need to add an ID. Then put label tags around your text. In the opening label tag, add a for attribute with the value the same as the control's ID. The end result looks the same to users, but makes it easier for them to use. You can add a color picker with the input type color. Your users can click on the color block and a color picker pops up. The type date will pop up a calendar for users to select a date in most browsers. The image on the left is how Chrome and Opera display the date type. The image on the right is from Edge. The type month will give you the same options, but the results will only include the month and year, not the day. The input type date time local also gives you some easy input options. On the left, Chrome and Opera give you the same calendar, but you have to either type or use the up-down arrows to set the time. Edge gives you either the date or time options, depending on where in the box you clicked, or you can choose just time. It will give you either the arrows or the time picker depending on the browser. None of these date or time types are supported by Firefox or IE. The input type number will give you a box with arrows in most browsers. You can add a min and max if you want to place limits on which numbers your users can submit. With the limits I have here, my users cannot choose numbers below 1 or above 5. In Edge, users aren't given arrows with limits, but if they try to submit something outside the requirements, they get an error. Numbers can also be selected with a slider. This is done with the type range. You may want to group some of your fields together. You do this with a field set. This places a box around the input fields. You can also add a legend to label the section. The legend appears at the top of the box. Another common form option is a drop-down box. This is done with the select element. Inside select tags, you include your options. The value is what is returned to you, and the text between the tags is what the user sees. It looks like this initially, and when the user clicks on the box, the drop-down options will show. If you want your users to be able to select more than one option from the drop-down menu, add the attribute multiple. If you have a long list, you may not want it going down so far down the page. You can specify how many options show at one time with the size attribute. This markup would show users 4 items at one time. If you have more options, there would be a scroll bar to view the rest. There may be times in which you want to group the options for your users. Add opt group tags around the options you want grouped. Then put a label in the opening out group tag. The label shows in the user's list, but is not a clickable option. It is there to help organize and make options easier for users to find. Once your user has completed the form, you need a way for them to send the data. The value submit will give users a button. With the submit button, you also need to specify what the submit button should do. This is done with the action attribute, which goes inside the opening form tag. The value in this attribute is a PHP file. We will not learn to write PHP in this class, but you can set up a form to go to an existing PHP file. By default, when a user form is submitted, the information will appear in the page address field. If the information needs to be kept private, you should add the HTTP method post. The method get is another option, but that is the default. So leaving out the method will give the same result. Get also has the size limits. You would want to use post if you are having your user submit more than 2,000 characters. Those 2,000 characters include your name fields and everything else that appears in the submission URL, so keep that in mind. There are a few other differences to think about too. If you use post, the back button will cause the data to be resubmitted. Get actions can be bookmarked. Get can also be cached and remains in browser history. This affects the security of the information. A reset button can be used to give users a way to clear all of the blanks in the form and allow them to start over. You can also create your own buttons with a button element. The type in a button element can be set to submit or reset and give you the same results as the 2 previous ones. The difference is that you can customize what is on the button. You can also use images for the buttons by putting image markup in a button element. Button has one more available type, and that is button. With this type, nothing is submitted back to you. It functions as an alert to your user. In this, you need the onClick attribute. The value of onClick contains alert and then your text in both parentheses and quotes. Remember that when you're using quotes inside of quotes, that they must be of different types. Most browsers allow users to complete forms with autocomplete that fills in the blanks for them. To protect private information, you may want to disable autocomplete. You can do this with autocomplete false. Be careful not to overuse this. You need to balance keeping your site safe and keeping it user-friendly. However, you can fill in some of the blanks for them. You can set a default value that holds the most common option. That saves users from needing to change some of the options. Users can still type over the option you put in, but this is a shortcut for those that don't need to make a change. You can also give your users more information about what goes in the blanks with placeholders. This gives users a hint to help them fill in the box correctly. If you want to make a field required, it is as simple as adding the word required in the input tag. There are many ways to create forms to gather information in a way that gets you what you need, but still makes it easy for the users.